Hi friends, and I've made this session especially for all those of you who feel that reading comprehension is sort of taking away their sleep and they are having sleepless nights. So I've titled this session as reading comprehension woes, right? So the question is RC giving you sleepless nights? If it is giving you sleepless nights, then let's see what can we do about it. So essentially, when you are doing RC, right, what people are expecting is there is a shortcut solution or there is a foolproof solution which you would get from such kind of videos. I am not going to give you such foolproof solution or a full backup solution, because RC is very subjective and you cannot get a foolproof solution like basic numeracy or an LR problem, right? So RC is more like doing a daily exercise, right? You have to do a daily exercise to reap the benefits of it, right? So that's how RC works. But still we can see how can we improve RC. So there are few issues which we will talk about. First is reading speed. I think most of you would be worried about reading speed, but since UPSC aspirants read a lot, right, they study for around 7 to 8 hours a day, reading speed should not be a problem for them, right? But still we can diagnose whether it's a problem for you or not. So how to do it? I'll say take a side article of Hindu, right, the one which is on the left hand side. There are two articles on the left hand side, the smaller ones. Take one of them, start reading it as you do regularly, as you do a regular read. So do not rush through it. Just start reading it as you are doing a regular reading, as you do it regularly. Clock your time to read the entire article, right? So if time taken is less than 3 minutes, which means reading speed is good. If time taken is greater than 5 minutes, then you have to work upon it. And how to work upon it is an important question, right? And the only answer which I can provide is read more, practice more, right? Read newspapers, read magazines, read books, and in this way you develop the reading speed, right? So what is the good reading speed? Is it 600 words per minute? Many people say that, but for our purpose we do not require that huge reading speed. What we require is something between 175 to 200 words per minute, right? And when I say you should read fast, I also mean that you should read effectively, which means you are comprehending as well. Do not increase your reading speed by compromising on your comprehension skills, right? Because you have to answer the questions. It's not the reading competition, it's reading comprehension competition perhaps, right? So read effectively and read decently fast, not very fast but decently fast. Around 200 words per minute is ideal, right? Even 175 words per minute would do, which means essentially in a UPSC kind of scenario where you have a comprehension of around 400 to 500 words, you would take around 3 minutes to read the passage, right? Which is decent time, right? Which is not very huge time. So do not rush to increase your reading speed to 300, 400 words. Just constrain it to 200, 250 words so that you read effectively and your comprehension skills are good. So this is how if reading speed is problem, if it is something like 150 words, then you have to work on it, right? So the only way to work on it is practice. There are techniques of eye gazing and all that stuff which you would find in lots of YouTube videos or in lots of books. I don't think they work, and even if they work, they require lots of hard work and practice to do that. It's always better to start practicing your reading so that eventually the reading comes naturally to you, right? The next problem is poor reading habits. I think we are plagued with this problem, all of us, right, including me. We are plagued with this problem because of the kind of social conditioning we have. We as a society are not too much into reading, right? We only maybe read comics or very easy reads like Chetan Bhagat and all that stuff, but we are not into reading a good piece of literature, right? So I don't think that many of us has read something written by Rabindranath Tagore or something written by, let's say, Kafka. I don't think we have read something about that, right? So because of that we face this problem that when an article is given in an exam like scenario, like a CAT or a UPSC, the article can be from any field, which can be from, it can be from polity, it can be from geography, it can be from environment, right? And since our reading habit is very much constrained, we then face problem. We are not well equipped with the subjects, right? So the first and foremost thing to increase your efficiency in reading comprehension is widen your reading. And UPSC is a very good way out, right? Because we have to read polity, we have to read science, we have to read history and all that stuff. So eventually our reading habits are improved. But since we are reading all this stuff under compulsion and we don't have reading habit as such, it does not pay too much in reading comprehension kind of a scenario, right? So firstly, let's diagnose whether you have this poor reading habit problem or not. How to diagnose it? You have to make a list of all those books which you have read in past 3 months, right? And mind you, you do not include your Lakshmikants and D.D. Basus or modern India and all that stuff, right? Mention all those books which you have read as hobby, right? Or which you have read out of interest. It can be Igniting India by Abdul Kalam, right? Or something like that, but something which you have read out of habit. Do not include the magazines. And when you are listing down the books, also mention the subjects, right? By mentioning the subjects, you would understand the variety in your reading, right? And the result would be, if you are reading less than 2 books, or I would say 1.5 book, you have poor reading habit. So in past 3 months, if you are not reading 2 books at least, then I would say you have poor reading habit. And if the diversity of subject is less than 1, right, which means again less than 2 rather, which means that you are reading the same subject. For example, I am interested in science fiction and I keep on reading science fiction, or somebody is interested in romance, so he keeps on reading Mills and Boons or something like that, then I would say he has a poor reading habit, right? So what's the point of action? First of all, you have to diversify your reading. So read polity, read psychology, read philosophy as well, right? So that's how you increase your diversity of reading. So philosophy, for example, is really tough. If you can master few books on philosophy, maybe of a Kafka, or maybe even a Tolstoy would do. He writes in a philosophical way, right? So you would see that your reading comprehension and reading in general would improve manifold, right? So start reading at least 2 books each in 3 months, right? So reading does not mean revision, right? So it's not, if you are revising your Lakshmikant, it does not mean a new reading. You have to read some new books, and believe me, if you just take out half an hour from your day's schedule in reading something interesting, right, reading something which is out of syllabus, maybe even a Chetan Bhagat to begin with, then you would see that the life is much more balanced, right? You are out of the cocoon of UPSC as well, and you would see that it pays overall, right? The developing reading habit pays overall in your UPSC preparation as well. So start developing good reading habits. And finally, the most important problem is of comprehension, right? So this is the major problem according to me. And what do I mean by problem of comprehension? The problem of comprehension is mainly because of our poor attention span, right? If you see, we as a generation of young guys and girls have very poor attention span. We cannot hold our attention on a particular object for even 5 seconds or 10 seconds, right? So when we are reading a passage, we have to re-refer to the passage again and again, so that we understand what the author is saying, right? So this creates a lot of confusion in the mind, as well as this wastes lots of your time in an exam like scenario, right? So how to diagnose it? Now for this, I would recommend take a longer passage, the one which is in the middle, that passage from the Hindu or Indian Express. Read it in less than 8 minutes, right? Make summaries of each paragraph, and finally make a small 50-word summary of the entire passage, right? Now again reread the passage. Okay, so result would how do you gauge whether you have poor comprehension skills or not? If you have covered 80% of the main points which are mentioned in the passage, you have good comprehension skills. But there is a bad news if you have covered less than 60% of the main points. So in a passage there would be a central theme, right, and then there would be few points in each of the paragraph in the whole passage, right? So you have to see whether you are able to remember all the points or 80% of the points, and you can clearly mention what is the main point of the passage. If you can do that, we can say that you have good comprehension skills. Otherwise, I would say you have poor comprehension skills and you have to work on it. And how to work on it? Again, practice comes to your rescue. There is no other way out. I would not recommend any shortcut like skimming a passage, reading first and the last line, and trying to just guess the things, right? That's not the way for actually a robust development of reading comprehension skills, right? So you have to actually work hard, and what I am saying is just devote half an hour daily to this reading comprehension thing, and you would see that it would do wonders for you in long run. Even in your subjects like history, geography and all that stuff, it would do wonders for you. So there is no magic wand as such, right? So this is this few minutes which I have spent on this video might seem to you as waste of time, but believe me, there is no magic wand. If somebody is telling you that doing this or this technique, skimming the passage or something like this would help you read effectively, I think that he is conning you. There are few techniques. I have discussed few techniques in my course on CSAT as well. There are few techniques like I name it preemptive reading, or I would say reading using keywords. So there are few techniques. I am not negating techniques, but still you have to develop a knack of reading, right, which comes through practice, right? So it's not like again the problems of basic numeracy or LR, where I would give you a formula and you can apply it and you would get 100% marks. Even after developing a good or a decent reading habit, you would see that you would be able to score around 70 to 75% marks, which is good marks as far as reading comprehension is concerned, right? So it requires time and practice. So perseverance is the key word here, right? So what you can do, what can be the action points, right? So I would say devote half an hour reading daily apart from your syllabus, right? So start reading the editorials and make 50-word summary of each article, right? Then start writing the central theme of the passage and start writing mood and tone of the passage, right? So if you can do these three things regularly and religiously for around 3 to 4 months, then you would see that your reading speed would increase and your reading comprehension skills would increase, and you would be able to read really effectively, and it will help you to cover syllabus in geography, history and other subjects as well, right? So this is essentially to solve your reading comprehension skills, right? So we are already doing this in our paid course from we have just started it, right? So I just post one article from the Hindu and I ask few questions from that article. I do not give choices, right? That's a deliberate attempt of not giving choices so that you form your own answers. So it's like a class 10 reading comprehension exercise where you have to write a subjective answer. So that exercise we are doing in our course. If you are interested in the course, you can just look at the description in the description box and you can subscribe to the course. The next thing which you can do is practice RC questions. And where do you practice from? Because there are very few previous years CSAT paper, you can buy a book, right? Maybe TMH. I think TMH has decent practice sets, or then I would recommend old GMAT papers, right? So old GMAT paper you can find from various sources on internet. They are actually official GMAT papers, so they provide you exact answers. There are no ambiguity in GMAT kind of papers. There are ambiguity in CAT kind of papers, but never in GMAT kind of papers. So I would recommend, if you want to practice, do not practice CAT papers, practice GMAT papers, right? That would be more beneficial for you. And then there is a very good website called rcprep.com, right? So there are passages, timed passages, I suppose. You have to read those passages and then answer 4 or 5 or 6 questions in that. So it's a good method to practice the RC, right? So the whole idea is, if you devote around 30 to 45 minutes per day on RC, it would pay you in long run, right? you would achieve around 70 to 80% efficiency in your reading comprehension, which is a good efficiency, I would say, and you would be able to garner confidence in other subjects as well, right? So if you have any questions, you can post me on my Facebook page, which is mentioned in the description box, or you can leave a comment here under the video, right? So that's it for today. I hope that you have actually I have added some value to your repository of knowledge, right? So again, I would thank you for watching this video, and I wish you all the best for your preparations.